we've seen in the news once again a high-profile divorce, that of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes. And one of the major issues is how their prenup agreement will play out during their divorce proceedings.
So and this is a hot topic. Are prenups a good idea for everybody, even if you're not rich? Our money couple is here to share their thoughts. Welcome back, Bethany and Scott Palmer. Good to see you guys.
Thank you for having us.
I think a couple of misconceptions, or maybe they're not. Number one, you always think, if you're not a billionaire, you don't need a prenup. Is that true or not?
Well, I think it really depends on the situation. And no, that's not. I mean, you're right. You don't have to be a billionaire or even a millionaire for a prenuptial agreement to make sense. And one of the things that we talk about when working with couples is that a prenuptial agreement is not there to get a better deal on your divorce later. That's not why it's there. It's not a built-in, hey, you're not going to get hammered with the finance. Really, what the prenuptial agreement allows you to do as a couple is it allows you to be very clear and very transparent about how you want the finances to work in the future if something should happen. And so we believe that in many cases, we've got three we're going to talk about today, it does make a lot of sense to have a prenuptial agreement.
And a lot of times people say, well, isn't that mean we're going to get a divorce if we have a prenup?
You get a plan for that?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? What we want to make sure is that there's clear and concise communication about the money component of your relationship.
Sure.
And there's three situations where we see it could really lead to a divorce if it isn't talked out and it isn't real clear.
Let's get to it. What's the first one?
First one is a family business, and we have seen this cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Let's say maybe you started a restaurant with your family. It's been going for 50 years, whatever. It's successful, and you marry. And then 5 years into that marriage, it dissolves. Well, what happens in many states like California and Colorado, that spouse will own a portion of that business. Well, how is that going to work out?
Right.
What if that person's employed there? If they own a portion of it, you have to buy them out. You hurt financially the restaurant or your family company, and your outstanding family that went into that business with you, they get hammered because of your choice.
That makes sense.
So we say in a family business, it absolutely makes sense to have that as part
How
of
about
it.
number two?
Stepchildren. That's really important. If there are stepchildren and you have a responsibility to your children and your new spouse has a responsibility to their children, there can be a lot of miscommunication.
Yeah.
Make sure it's real clear, and especially if they're a little bit on the older side, because you want to make sure college is taken care of and all the different things. One may have had enough money to do that, the other family didn't, and then there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings. So make sure if there are stepchildren involved that you get that prenup.
And third?
Second marriages. And this is really true of people that get in second marriages, especially if you're in your 50s, your 60s, and your 70s, and we're even seeing 80-year-olds get married again. And what happens is both of these people come to this marriage with different size of assets. And so what happens is a prenup makes a lot of sense, especially if someone's coming into the marriage with a lot of money and someone maybe not as much. It doesn't mean that they might not benefit from that money in retirement down the road or something like that. But once again, if that marriage dissolves, then how does that play out? If you've got one that did a great job of saving into a retirement account their whole life, the way that it works right now is most likely that spouse is going to get 50% of that. So once again, it comes back to that clear communication. It comes back to that, really setting expectations from the front. And it doesn't have to be this big nasty, I'm getting this because I don't trust you. I'm getting this because I think we're going to end up divorced. We actually on our website have a guide on how to have a conversation about the prenuptial agreement so that it doesn't come across like, hey, I don't trust you financially and you're probably going to divorce me.
And it seems like it's more common than it used to be. You see more and you hear more and more stories of
Well, you know
people
what?
having prenups.
Don't you have a will written? That doesn't mean you're expecting to die. You're just planning just in case, right? So is it really any different? Makes sense to me.
Well, I think
you're
all
not going to live forever, but you hope to be married.
That's not true. I will live forever. Yeah, right. Great advice, guys.
You get your point, though.
I might die sooner than I think. We'll see you next time.
Great. There's much more ahead next.